Hello, yes, here we go. We are live. This is Pez again with Noisebox. Today in the studio, Bud White. Tell us, Bud, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Just dropped the grandkids off. We got to spend a better part of the weekend together, so that was really great. Sound like such an old man now, you know.
Sounds
But
like you're really living the glory years there, Bud.
yeah, no, it's not too bad. I've done a lot in my life, and now it's kind of time to relax and look after the loved ones.
Well, Bud, you've had quite the legacy. Do you want to comment? Let's, start at the beginning. Like, where
Yeah,
where would you say your career first began?
yeah. Oh gosh, so long ago. I was working in the Whistle Crate in Toronto. This was in goodness. I think I started in '58.
Oh,
So
58.
yeah, and I was just playing piano for this guy, Lou Buckley, I think, and he never. I always thought he was going to make it. He never did, but he was at the time one of the best jazz singers in not even in Toronto, but on the whole East Coast.
I'm sure some of your fans would have loved to hear it now, but just one of
Yeah.
those lost ages. So tell me, where's coming from those like smaller session days, like where'd you first hit it big? What was the
Well, yeah,
real hit?
I remember when Steppenwolf came in one day. This was 1961, I think. They'd only been playing together for a couple years, maybe not even. I don't think they'd even put out an EP yet or anything like that. You know, back in those days, you couldn't put out any music really until you had a contract.
Oh, of
So,
course.
it's not like today. You don't have your iPods and you can just record everything on your iPod.
Can you tell us anything about the early Steppenwolf? Any
Yeah.
antics, stories,
Oh,
any?
I could tell you stories. I remember one time. Back then, they were playing a lot of reggae. It was a lot different from the sound they have today. They had an accordion player.
Oh,
They actually had two drummers on one kit.
oh,
Which
so
that was one point where they used to argue a lot because you'd have Mick was trying to play, and and the other guy, I don't remember his name now. He was he played with them for a long time. I should remember.
So-
It's this old age.
So tell me, were they like, piggyback style Santa Claus or
Yeah,
like
they
more
would-
tandem? Like,
One would get on the other's shoulders and sort of play with his feet. He would flap his feet around and hit the cymbals mostly, and then the guy on the bottom, that was Mick. He would be playing the snare drum and the bass drum and really most of the toms.
well, it makes sense who made it then. Despite,
Yeah.
I'm sure there was good crowd reaction to that. Is there?
Yeah, I just remember a lot of beer bottles got thrown. They were trying to hit the top of the head of course, the man on top, because back in those days people didn't care much about safety, and it was a different time.
It was before the bowl of brown M&Ms, that's for sure.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, look up Van Halen, great group. Anyway,
Okay, I only listen to Canadian stuff.
fair enough. So tell me, what after Steppenwolf, were you with them when they made it big, or did anything happen between you two?
Oh yeah, I mean I played with them for about 5 years. We toured around a little bit, and mostly just in Ontario. I remember when the first album came out, I missed the record date. I was sleeping. I was a little hungover, and I guess I just didn't make it to the studio in time. But that's the way it was back then. You'd party all night, and then you have to go record an album in the morning. So I didn't make it, and that's why I'm not actually on the album. But I did continue to tour with them, and that occurred until about 1967, I think, and that's when I met Neil Young.
Oh, of course, Neil Young. I heard there was some sort of a party involving a goat in a shower.
Yeah,
What's
we were
this?
at Neil's cousin's birthday party. He was 6 years old, turning 6, and there was part of the party was that there was a goat in the shower, and excuse me, all these years cigarettes, but this goat, I'll never forget this. He looks me dead in the eye. I'm trying to take a piss, so I'm peeing in the toilet. I look over at the shower. This goat looks me dead in the eye, and I swear to you, he says to me, you know what he says to me? This goat, I could have swore to you he spoke.
I'm very intrigued.
Well, I don't remember.
Oh.
And that's why I was asking.
Oh.
But he did speak to me. I know I was on a lot of hallucinogenic drugs at the time. You know, it was a different time. That's just the way it was in the music scene, and everyone was doing it. But I went back downstairs, and Neil had a face full of whipped cream, and I remember he was running around the party with this can of whipped cream, and just trying to spray all the little kids.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, he was only he was in his teens at the time. I
You
think.
could say he was quite young then.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah.
So, what brought you guys together at this fateful party? What was the inciting incident? We've got you who just saw a goat, and then you've got a soon-to-be famous man chasing around children with whipped cream.
Well, I remember we were wearing the same shirt, and that's kind of why we originally had struck up conversation. It was a Fred Flintstone shirt, and it said "Yabba Dabba Don't," and a picture of head of romaine lettuce on there. And I'm not really sure what it was supposed to mean, but we both had this same shirt. I had picked it up from the Salvation Army. I don't know. I never got to find out where he got his, but we ended up talking, and I found out he was an aspiring songwriter. I actually kind of got him his first big break. I introduced him to this guy I knew, Ralph Waldo. Not what you're thinking, different guy. But he owned this little record shop on Queen Street. And I remember I took Neil in there one weekend, and Ralph says, you look like you're gonna be a star one day. Never heard him sing. He just said, you look like you're gonna be a star.
He just knew.
Ralph had this way of knowing.
Well,
he died the next day.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep.
Some pretty heavy stuff there. So Did that affect you at all? Like, what were your next steps? Like, how long were you with Neil, or did it?
Well, me and Neil, I talk to him every now and then. We keep in touch, but it was always kind of a tough relationship. You know, I played on a couple of his albums, sure. I remember back in, I played on Tonight's the Night, and he called me back up. We had another fight, but I came back for Harvest Moon, and I played xylophone on that. But yeah, we had a pretty rocky relationship. I could say that for sure. So we didn't stick together all that long.
So is there any specific like straw that broke the camel's back, or was it just a mutual agreement?
Well, I think what it was, we were at the petting zoo.
Oh, of course.
And we were drinking milkshakes, and I actually.
Don't tell me this story starts and ends with a goat.
No. Well, there was a goat there, and he did speak to me as well. I think it might have even been the same goat, and I've thought about that a lot. It's kept me up a lot of nights. But I hopped up on the camel. I don't know you're not supposed to do that, but I was pretty loaded at the time. And I said to Neil, pass me a straw for my milkshake, because I didn't have one. And as soon as he passed me the straw, the camel kicked me off. And I know you've probably thought that something else was going to happen in that story, but no, I just got kicked off the camel. Later, we found out that the camel did die. Another little kid, a little fat kid, had jumped on the camel, and the camel's spine did snap in half.
Sounds like quite the child there. So you,
after that, me and Neil didn't really want to talk to each other anymore.
Just like hopefully he's not carrying too much trauma from the event either.
Well, I'm sure he probably is. He cheated on his wife, you know.
I guess
can't do that unless you're traumatized. I don't know what kind of sick person would do a thing like that. I've cheated on girlfriends, but it was a different time back then. That was in the 70s.
Of course.
That's not, you don't have the same commitment
So just to keep things more towards this age, so tell me what came next. What was the next big break for you there, bud?
Excuse me. Well, you ever hear of a band called Chilliwack?
Oh, of course.
Right. So I remember it was 1978, and I was making a sort of a cross Canada tour. I had some songs of my own that I was playing, and nothing really that good. I was never really a great songwriter. I was more of a accompanist, and but I do remember I had made my way to Vancouver, just kind of selling CDs when I could, and working jobs at restaurants or whatever, just to pay my way over. And I kind of got my second big break there when Bill and Ed Henderson. I ran into these guys at what was the place called? O'Reilly's. Yeah.
O'Reilly's, eh?
Yeah, that was down on Kings, and I met these guys, Bill and Ed, and they introduced themselves, and I said,
Was this the same O'Reilly's that? Oh, I've heard of. Yeah, they've mentioned a story, something about
Jack.
some guy. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to call him Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Because he'd always rip his shirt off at the end of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Bill and Ed come up to me. We actually end up hitting it off pretty well. And then sort of the rest is kind of history. I recorded with them, as most people know, for quite a number of years. Never really made it into the spotlight. A lot of people didn't know my name, but they heard my riffs, you know.
Of course, and like we know your name now, bud. So
yeah,
can't be doing too bad.
I'm doing all right, you know.
Got the cottage house, the grandkids. I feel like.
Yep.
Hmm.
From there, I met up with Loverboy.
Of course, Loverboy, classics.
Yeah, I was their photographer for a long time. I kind of had to learn how to do that. But, yeah, I also played a little bit. I played some harmonica on some of their records. A lot of it's pretty quiet. Can't hear it very well. But, yeah, I actually, it was my idea, that song, Working for the Weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was actually supposed to be working on the weekend. Because we would tour every Saturday and Sunday. We were playing.
Of course, that's when the shows are, right?
Of course. But, you know,
so
it is what it is.
So you started it as like a song for the traveling musician, and it became a song for the working man. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of working man, I wrote that one too. Rush.
Mm.
Yeah. They basically ripped that off of me. That was my idea entirely. Wrote the whole song.
Oh. Did you spend a lot of time with Rush?
Oh, yeah.
Was there a situation that made Loverboy turn you loose, so to say?
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, in the 90s I was hanging out with Rush. As you know,
90s Rush.
I had written the song Working Man way back. That came out in, 68, I think it was. And I remember I had forgotten it at the laundromat. Well, I was waiting for my laundry. I think I just left it there. I left it in a pair of pants, I think.
You know, our interview with Neil did mention him finding his lucky pair of pants at a laundromat.
Yeah, that was actually a separate time. That happened twice.
Oh.
And that's where the song Cygnus X1 came from.
Ah, yes, of course.
Yeah. Not one of their bigger hits, but
no, it was there. It was there. It was a jam for those that commit to them.
Yeah, and so yeah, anyways, like I was saying, I did play with Rush in the 90s a little bit. This was before I knew. I hadn't heard those songs yet. I didn't know that they ripped me off. Things would have changed. I mean, when I did find out, we were in the studio for Counterparts.
Oh, Counterparts, very underappreciated album.
Yeah, I was playing djembe. A little bit of djembe, a little bit of pan flute, and
did any tension happen between you and Neil if you're also playing like a percussive, drum style? Like he didn't want that.
You see this scar?
Yeah, it's
Neil he broke a drumstick. He threw one half at me.
KFC or the hitting kind?
KFC.
Of course, it looks bone shaped.
Yeah, he would play with those when we recorded in the studio. he would play too loud, so they had to make him use drumsticks from KFC to sort of dampen the sound. This was before they had those new, they've got brushes now. They've got different polyester type drumsticks, all kind of technology to sort of soften the sound. But back then, we just had to visit Colonel Sanders and bring a bucket of chicken back to the studio.
Of course. I hear he's got a lake cottage just across the way from you. Does he throw any drumsticks your way still?
He does, and every now and then I'll be looking on my binocs across the lake, and I'll see Neil sort of stewing in rage with a box of KFC in his hand, and he'll just chuck these big chicken wings out into the lake. Doesn't make it very far, and it's completely out of spite. And I've been trying to bury the hatchet for a long time.
Just keeps digging that sucker back up like a dog digging up those bones, eh?
That's exactly right.
So tell me, you've worked with Loverboy, then Rush.
Excuse me.
How did the 90s and 2000 hit you when Simple Plan, Sum 41, your new waves of rock are coming through? You've got your grunge hitting in. Did you meet up with any more classic groups, or were you moving with the new guys?
That was a whole new world. I had been playing a little bit with the hip. Gord Downey and me, I remember one time. The reason I call him Gord Downey is because we used to down 6-packs of Mountain Dew in the alley behind where we were playing every night as sort of a pre-show ritual. But it's too bad about the diagnosis. I was very sad to hear about that. Gord, good guy, excellent guy, great Canadian musician, Canadian hero, I think. And so I was privileged to get to play with the hip, but it didn't last long. They didn't need me for a lot of their later stuff, which was fine. I understood, no hard feelings at all. But I did end up playing with Simple Plan. That song, "I'm Just a Kid," I wrote that song too.
Interesting. So
they didn't credit me for it.
Yeah, I don't remember your credit on that one either.
Yeah. So I guess that's why I only played a couple shows with them. I was pretty angry about that.
I guess it made that plan pretty simple for you then, eh?
Well, exactly. That's what I always say. Yeah. I got in a fist fight once with Chris Crippen from Headley.
Oh.
I wrote a couple of their songs as well. I wasn't too proud of those ones, so I didn't care too much.
Yeah, they were definitely one of those groups that came and went, and you don't hear much about them today. For the nights I cannot remember Headley, which are most nights. I just don't remember Headley.
Yeah, the nights I don't remember, that really resonates with me. Yeah. So yeah, I guess I've had a pretty good career, I guess.
So tell me, what was the last moment? What was the thing that finished you off? Was it good, or was it just another toss?
I guess when I really decided to throw in the towel, I did a show with Drake 2 years ago.
Like from Drake and Josh.
Yeah, that's right. Drake Bell.
Yeah.
We were playing some classic rock covers at Rogers Arena, and what really did it was I was actually playing bass guitar, which I don't do a lot, but he needed a bassist, so he called me up, and he knows I always say yes. We have a good relationship, and after the show, Drake turns to me. He says, this might be the highlight of your whole career, and I knew he was right. Playing, Love Me Do in front of 50,000 screaming tweens and Rogers Arena in Vancouver. That was with Drake Bell.
Was that your largest audience there?
It was, and I remember Josh Peck was on drums.
Oh, of course.
And
had to have them together.
Yeah, and it was just, oh my goodness. Tom Cochran was there too, background dancing. And anyways, so Drake says to me, this is the highlight of this is the mountain. That's what he says to me. This is the mountain. You've reached the summit.
So what you're saying is it did not take much time to realize.
I knew this is it. I'm done.
Yeah.
And
so you just turned around.
I turned around and I said, you know what? I'm going home. I'm going to buy a cabin on the lake, spend some time with my grandchildren, and just take it easy.
Sounds like an exciting life there, bud. Best of luck with Neil. Hopefully he, learns to finally bury his own hatchet, or bucket in this case.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
As always, this has been Pez.